let's talk about the Reserve Bank of Australia. I think you're right. I think the Reserve Bank will be one of the more timid of the central banks. Our inflation is higher and proving to be somewhat more sticky than it is in the United States and also in the Eurozone. And obviously, don't forget, we've got a new governor at the Reserve Bank of Australia, Michelle Bullock. And I think, when you're settling into a job, you're probably going to be a little bit more cautious. Obviously, the RBA raised rates, which disappointed the Australian government, which I think foolishly had kind of implied that the Reserve Bank didn't need to raise rates any further. I think that painted the new governor into a bit of a corner because Michelle Bullock had to kind of demonstrate her autonomy and independence from the political machine, from the government. So inflation here in Australia is probably going to be higher than what we're going to see in the Eurozone and the United States. I think there's several factors going on here in Australia. First and foremost, we have this massive surge of immigration into Australia in 2023. And I don't know if you've got any numbers, but it could have been by the end of the year about 750,000 new arrivals, which is a really significant number in the context of a relatively small population. So, when you arrive in a new country, and as I did to Australia in 1997, you have to go out and buy carpets and sofas and fridges and microwaves. And I think that really was a big stimulant to the economy in 2023, notwithstanding the very sharp rise in interest rates. And then on the energy front, all of us, whenever I look at the energy bill, the electricity bill, the price of gas, the price of electricity, everything seems to still be kind of moving upwards. So there are some stickiness in terms of utility prices. Wage inflation here as well. I mean, our labor market is really, really very tight. And you continue to see just walking around help wanted signs. And I know that the very latest employment report in Australia saw a stunning decline in full-time workers. I actually challenged that data. I think the Australian Bureau of Statistics has got a problem with its employment model. But the bottom line is wage inflation here is certainly has been moving upwards. So I think the Reserve Bank is going to be very, very cognizant of that and actually going to be relatively conservative in terms of the rate cutting cycle, and will certainly wait until the US central bank and other major central banks have actually started cutting rates. We, I think, will be the last cab off the rank when it comes to rate cuts, Eugene.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And I think, central banks around the world do have in the back of their minds, the 70s. They're trying to balance this issue of, trying to stimulate the economy, but also they don't want inflation to come back.